From the newsroom now, the economy is shaping up to be the deciding factor in the election, with opposition leader Tony Abbott making it the focus of today's campaigning. He's travelling to Adelaide, where he's expected to announce a 1.5% cut in the company tax rate. For more, we're joined by Nine reporter Jane Azzopardi in Canberra. Jane, this will be the first real policy that we've heard from the opposition during campaigning. What are the details?
Well, Deb, it's also likely to be the most expensive promise of this election campaign, coming in at around $5 billion to start and $2.5 billion every year after that. The company tax cut is due to come into effect on the 1st of July 2015. It will lower the company tax rate from 30% to 28.5%, which Tony Abbott says is necessary for the economy and to stimulate investment. It would also help to offset the 1.5% levy that the coalition plans to put on the country's biggest companies to help fund its paid parental leave scheme. But as I said, this is massive spending at a time when we know that the budget situation is already tight. So the coalition is going to come under some pretty tough scrutiny about what sort of cuts it's going to have to make to fund this promise, Deb.
And speaking of cuts, the RBA did slash rates again yesterday. It's become a major point of difference, though, between the two parties.
Yeah, well, they're both trying to spin it to benefit themselves. Traditionally, a rate cut in an election campaign is only good news for a government because homeowners have more money in their pockets. But the coalition says it's also a sign that our economy isn't doing well. This is what Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey had to say.
If your argument is that the lower the interest rates, the better the economy, go and ask the British or the Americans or the Europeans that have interest rates at zero how their economies are going. Because I'll tell you what, we are now beyond emergency levels.
And Jane, Deputy PM Anthony Albanese might have a bit of explaining to do after being photographed having a beer with a mate. What's he done?
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad, does it, until you see who the mate is. It's none other than disgraced former Labor MP Craig Thomson. The two were photographed by News Limited photographers having a beer in Sydney last night. I'm sure there's quite a few people who'd love to know what they were talking about over that beer. Craig Thomson, of course, is still standing in his seat of Dobell, though this time as an independent. Tony Abbott was there yesterday with his candidate. So this is a seat that the coalition is pretty sure or pretty hopeful that they can win back. They lost it in 2007. Don't know what Albo was chatting with Craig Thomson about there, but I think we can be pretty sure he wasn't trying to get him back on the Labor team. Labor still doesn't have a candidate for that seat, Deb.
Yeah, not a good look for Albo. Jane, we'll leave it there. Thank you.